All right, folks. I gotta actually get rid of this because it's a best of one. I gotta get that through my head. Not a best of three. Not a best of anything crazy. But we are ready to rock and roll. Now, these players both have names different than what they're playing as, and we don't have special UI mechanics to change that. But please know before we do the intros, this is JimRising, and this is Lucky. All right. So to kick off our Aiur Chef tournament, as I notice the overlay is slightly off center, and my OCD will kill me if I don't fix that. 1 sec. All right, in the bottom left corner of the map, we have the Zerg player. It's gonna be JimRising. You see how I zoomed out when I said rising?
I get it. In the top right, as the orange Protoss, it's flip side tactics Lucky.
Yeah, Black Mirror Me just kind of feels like that's a take on Panda Bear Me's name. Maybe. I'm not sure where these Bear Me's come from. But maybe they're Bear Mimes. You know, dank Mimes?
Wow. No, I don't actually. Nope, haven't heard of them.
Okay, so a lot of you may never have heard of Lucky. I think a lot of us have seen JimRising. We've had him on for a lot of show matches in the past, and I try to actively cast him when we do qualifiers for events. But Lucky's a player who hasn't been around for a while. We had him, I want to say, oh gosh, like near the beginning of Heart of the Swarm in a couple of events. He's the one who actually gave me my favorite Protoss move of all time versus Zerg, where you proxy one gate and follow it up with like the Void Ray PS. It's not like he invented it, but he's the first one I really saw make it work well in a tournament setting, and since then he kind of fell off the map. I don't know how big of a deal he is back in the scene. He's on Flipside Tactics, so he's at least kept current with new teams, but we'll see how he does versus Jim, because I think if you recall, Jim, he does some weird things with Lings amongst other units. Yeah,
Lings and Mutas is kind of what I identify him with, especially against Protoss. He'll be 2-base Muta and kind of like, I don't know, a better Penguin? Yeah?
That's mean to say it like that, but it's actually fairly accurate. Disclaimer, Penguin, if you're watching the broadcast, we love you, man.
Well, anyways, it is the case, though. It's not going to be the case here, as he does go for 3 hatcheries and his Deadwing, of course, but it still doesn't rule out other weird stuff. But I do like this choice. He's going to get away with it, too. Not that Lucky wasn't being greedy as well, but I don't know. Nexus first, I believe, versus 3-hatch-4 pool. What do you think is better for the income?
Well, I think 3-hatch-4 pool, only because I know that Jim's not going to be doing this in a way that, you know, the delayed gas hurts him. He's someone who really likes to go massive amounts of Lings or just Roaches and given the opportunity. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't go Hydras and he wouldn't go Mutas or this, that, the other, but a lot of what he does is so very mineral-based. I kind of like the earlier third because of this.
That's a good point. That's something I also wish we had graphs on, you know, to see exactly the effects of it. Because we all know that 3-hatch-4 pool is pretty damn greedy, and it's actually really good against gateway expands. They just usually can't do anything about it unless they're already kind of preparing for like a 4-gate all-in. But against someone who also went like pretty greedy themselves, it actually might be, you know, close enough that, you know, as Lucky scouted that, instead of being like, oh my god, I can't believe you got away with that, I'm so angry right now, he's like, oh, okay.
Well, I think one of the things, too, and I'm a little bit worried about this, because this is really abstract. Again, everything today is best of ones, up including to the finals. That's not really done in tournaments. So, playing greedy like this, yes, there's like the merits of economy, but I almost feel like this is, in a best of one, really, really risky. Like, stupidly risky.
But they were both risky. They were both stupid together.
Yes, but the point I was going to segue into was that he at least does it on Deadwing. Other maps, this third versus natural dynamic for defense isn't here. This is the only map where you can really get away with this without it being the most risky, I think. You try and do this on Overgrowth, you're going to lose that third to the south every single time. You do this on a map like, say, Inferno Pools, good luck. Why are you doing that? Stop.
Yeah, stop. No.
Speaking of Inferno Pools, stop, you know?
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Blizzard? You know, I met my first... Oh, we got like a 3-gate expand here. That's what it's like. I had met my first just absolutely blatant hacker as soon as I started my stream last night.
Oh, that's not fun.
Like, on Inferno Pools, he 2-gates me as a Zerg player. And I'm like, well, this is suspicious. Whoa. Maybe he put it like in the middle of the map, you know, and he's just being like really bad. No, I watched the replay. He puts it near my base and automatically rallies the zealots into my base without scouting any other bases at all. And I'm like, what the hell?
So I'm not saying that probably wasn't cheating. But in fairness, there are also scumbags like me who will say to their stream really quick, alright guys, we're gonna flip this coin really hard. We're just gonna proxy, and if they're not there, we just leave real quick.
Well, that is possible, I suppose. He didn't actually, like, I checked to see if he was actually looking at my base, like, with his actual camera, and he didn't do that, so maybe not. But I felt like I was part of the NA group. I felt so, like, snuggly and warm with my brethren, you know, against the cheaters. This Oracle, she's gonna do a lot of damage. He had no idea this was coming.
I mean, the two of them especially should drive this off, but 6 workers killed isn't bad. If he kept the Oracle alive! Oh, Jesus crackers!
Let's see.
So, that might seem like a big over like, oh my god, why are they freaking out about the Oracle? But, I mean, truth be told, and again, a lot of this comes down to the fact it's the best of one, and they're both playing slow rather than aggressive. You're going to want that Oracle for detection. You're going to want that Oracle for constant revelations to see where the army is, whether it's Hydras, whether it's Lings, and, you know, where it's moving. So, I mean, to lose it, it's not the end of the world. But that does take away from the fact that Black Mirror Me, aka Lucky, is not going to exactly have 15 observers on the map spread across the middle of Deadwing.
Yeah. Yeah, no robo, and I mean honestly, if he goes for like a 3-base all-in off the back of this fairly early third, you know, Blink Stalkers +1, you might even like get a robo until you're already attacking. There's been some very, you can't call them greedy, right? Because they're all-ins. Risky, there you go. Risky is a good word for it. That do that. And we do have a lot of gateways coming down now, but I think he's just making up for the fact that third was so early. You know, usually it's gateway, natural, gateway third. He really accelerated his economy.
Well, this game went the complete opposite of what I thought. And not because either player is a cheeser or does this versus that. I mean, we got melee upgrades, which is definitely worth noting for Jim, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I really thought this would have been, hey, it's best of ones. Let's just all in as hard as possible and get through the brackets quick. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're a Terran player, maybe that's not an option. But for Zerg, certainly is something I would think about. For Protoss, especially versus Zerg, that's something I would have thought would have just been on the forefront of strategies.
Well, we do have the robo down, but Blink's finishing up along with +1, and he can certainly push out with this. He's still making probes, although only one right now. I mean, maybe one make at a time with 3 Nexus. Okay, maybe not. But this is just a poke, you know? He's going to see what the composition is, because he lost that revelation ability so early. Maybe he actually has no idea what's going on. I don't think we've seen Hussein Phoenix in a while here.
No force fields. Lose the pylon, lose the probe. No reinforcements to push this, and this is a dangerous place to be.
But it's just a poke, and, you know, unless there are Hydras already, I'm not really worried, as long as I'm working to recall.
I think the Void Ray is actually the deadliest thing there. The Prismatic Alignment is just going to melt the Roaches, but Fort Seal should keep the Lings at bay. The Spine Core is kind of scary. I guess it depends how much he dedicates to this. Like, does he just book it immediately upon seeing the Spine? Do Lings actually connect? I mean, I mentioned we talked about that +1 melee weapons for Jim, not +1 range, and that's because, as we mentioned before, this is a guy who loves Ling mutas when he can get on them.
Still not gonna recall. Okay, so there he goes.
And it actually doesn't lose too much for it, so not bad. Not bad. Not like he accomplished much, but not bad. I would definitely love to see Jim tear down these rocks, though. That's
definitely true. Need to do that. But you know, if Jim was doing something a little bit greedier, a little more, either he was producing more drones, which I think he's pretty set right now, or if he'd been teching up very quickly in either Swarm Host or Hydra loads, it's possible that he had such like a small army supply that push actually does something. Although without the pylon, I don't think it ever does anything. But as it was just Lings and Roaches and enough to be scary, that just was a poke. Behind it, he was going to Colossus, but changes his mind and goes to double Stargate. Did he see the Spire with a Phoenix, perhaps? Or just knows JimRising? Okay, he saw the Spire.
He saw the Spire with that hallucinating Phoenix. Well, this transition comes in, and again, a surprisingly slow-paced game. Gotta give a big shout-out to a big friend. Desro just hosted us, guys. I got to catch most of Remax, but we had to leave early to get this set up. But thank you, Desro, for your support, man. Much appreciation.
I left my mark on that chat.
Yeah, you love butts. I feel like you're that person who would like go to the photocopier, right, and just like photocopy a bunch of butts and then like post them around and be like, oh my gosh, who did that? Whose butt is that?
Definitely not that. I can say that pretty confidently.
That's exactly what someone who was posting butts would say.
It's exactly what a Cylon would say.
You know what? I bet you a Cylon wouldn't. I think Cylons are more mature than butts.
They are pretty mature.
Good defense.
Very condescending way.
Good defense out of Lucky. I mean, that Nexus was something that could have been canceled if he didn't react. It does open him, though, to the actual Roach attack. However, I almost feel like for Jim, this is suicidal. There's so many force fields, there's going to be so many stalkers. He'll get some damage with the roaches, there's no question about that, but will it be worth losing them all?
Well, the mutas.
Catch him a little off guard in the main. There are Phoenix out, but it's definitely not enough to take on this amount of mutas alone. As we can see, they do shred through Mutalisks. Great units that they be. Mothership Core doesn't quite have an overcharge. Now she does, but the probes are already gutted. Not a lot to actually save here in the main, and he does clean up the natural, pardon me, the third. He keeps the Nexus alive. So Jim now has to rely on these mutas to make this worthwhile. For him to have thrown his whole army away for nothing. Oh my god. Extended Thermal Lance blocked out at 133 out of 140.
How did that pylon not power the robo? That was so close.
That's so dirty, I don't know, but he's got to put down new pylons, of course, going to continue with the harass. Now, the thing is for this, Phoenix are pretty much a hard counter to Mutalisk, but control can get you a long way, and if somebody's paying attention and someone isn't, this fight turns around on either side of this.
Yeah. Well, right now, but when that upgrade finishes for the Phoenixes, even then, like, you actually kind of have to start trying. Yeah, you have to kind of start trying to lose your Phoenix, actually taking damage from mutas with that. And it is on its way. While one Stargate was depowered, he still has 2 more. I mean, honestly, maybe I shouldn't be that surprised that Jim is still sticking on mutas. It's still a valid composition when you get Corruptors in. It is JimRising. He likes mutas, and
I mean, this is an absurd amount of mutas too. This isn't like the casual 12. This is 31.
Yeah. It's just the style that he wishes to play, and I guess there's actually a lot of action going on. But okay, that's 3 mutas right there. Whoopsie.
And Pulse Crystals is complete, so the Phoenix not just barely outrange the Mutalisks anymore, they very outrange the Mutalisks now. And Jim's got these Muta's kind of stranded on the other side of the map. He needs Corruptors to complement this. They're on the way, but they're not going to be fast enough to save these Mutas. And if Jim just runs, Jim kind of has to give away Mutas for free. So this is a pretty tough spot for someone to be in. He lost a lot of Mutas, very expensive units that they be. We got some Lings starting to flood on the map, but those can't shoot up.
I really don't like his choice to go for Mutas, to be honest. It is Dead Wing, and I mean, there's not that much dead space covering the bases themselves, so it's not like they have super secret hiding spaces. But more importantly, in a situation like this on Overgrowth, Ling suddenly run into your main, from any of the 3 avenues into the main that they have. And you're like, I gotta deal with this. But until he had moved out, his army was covering 4 bases and 4 entrances to his base. Yeah. Well, he did move out, and now, well, this happens.
I mean, +2 Lings do a surprising amount of damage. They may be able to kill one of these Nexus. Maybe not the one here at the 3rd. The natural base getting incredibly low very quick. In fact, that is going to die. Might get the one in the main.
It's like this whole point of it was like Deadwing was actually not supposed to let this happen.
Exactly.
You got one little area that you have to protect. It shouldn't get it in, but it was just very good timing from JimRising.
Is he gonna get the main 2? I think he's gonna get the main 2 at this rate. It's getting really low. There's a Photon overcharge. Mothership, of course, helping best she can, but here comes the Colossus. It looks like he will barely keep this alive.
I mean, that's basically worth diving into for losing 5 mutas to the Phoenixes, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that on top of the fact that he gave away Lings for that. That wasn't like losing an army of Roaches or Hydralisks. Lings are about the cheapest, most dispensable units you can make.
Yeah, and JimRising is getting prepared for a base trade. I mean, this is kind of the older way that people played ZVP before Swarmhosts made their way. Everyone transitioned to them because it seemed to be a little less coin flippy than Muta Corruptor could be, but a lot less action-packed, if I say so myself.
Oh, do you know?
Oh, I do. Monocles and everything. But seriously, he's got to be worried that this harass is eventually not going to actually deal enough damage to kill Lucky, although that can happen, but rather for Lucky just to be like, F this and run into his army. Just be like, I can't deal with it anymore.
I like this move a lot, going for the Templar. I mean, Archons are kind of cool versus Corruptors, sure, but Storms can go a long way. They don't typically kill Mutalisks, but they can soften them up. The Phoenixes will get those killing blows. I mean, for about as many Mutalisks as there are, there's still 15 Phoenix that outrange everything that Jim has.
Honestly, at this, by the way that Muta Corruptor has gone, yeah, Storms don't really help on the defense, but it always ends up that you're going to end in a base trade. I mean, I'd say most of the time it ends up in a base trade, and then Storms can be very important.
Here we go. It's getting shredded on the left side. We do have the Corruptors, though, it's such a weird dynamic, and this is probably the one composition I love watching the most, Duel, because it comes so much down to control, right? The Stalkers are good for the Corruptors, but the Mutas kill the Stalkers. The Phoenixes kill the Mutas, but the Corruptors kill the I mean, it's such a weird back and forth through this, but Jim has lost a lot of Stalkers through this. Or not Jim, pardon me, Lucky.
Yeah. It was weird. He kept on blinking down to the low ground, and he kept on losing so many Stalkers. But
he gets behind the Corruptors, too. He's going to finish off those Mutas.
Yeah.
Unless he
it looks
stops
like he takes a really nice trade.
Okay, clearing out the Corruptors was one thing. Clearing up the Mutas, I mean, I'm scared. I'm gonna hit Shift L. What do you think? 40 Mutas dead this game? 50?
70.
56.
Damn it. Okay.
Damn it. But no, still, that's 5,600 minerals, 5,600 gas. I mean, it's not cheap to lose an army like that.
Yeah, at the very least, though, he did trade okay. He didn't run 30 meters into 2 Archons. So
Yeah.
this counterattack,
Oh
the
my
Spine
god.
Crawlers are enough.
Well, they're not going to stop the Colossus, but they will buy time. Oh my
In a way,
God.
they kind of do,
That-
you know?
Why did we not see 20 spine crawlers in production? Or what was going on that we missed? Jesus.
Oh, I saw it. That's I guess I didn't say the number. You must have thought I was talking about like 10 or something.
We got extra bases coming down for Jim. So, I mean, you said he was setting up for possibly a base trade. Maybe that's the case. But maybe it's also just another place to run to. Thinking back to players like True, for example. He's just always got another base up his sleeve.
That is true. I kind of wanted to bring this up earlier, just as like idle thoughts, but usually Muta games don't let you have a bit of patience or a bit of resting time here. Is that, I wonder if people are going to start using Mutas at late game before this Swarm Host patch hits, because they're afraid that Swarm Hosts in the late game aren't going to be their go-to transition. It's going to go back to Mutas, but JimRising is usually a Muta player, so that's like idle speculation.
Well, Jim's also picked off a lot of probes at this game. Gotta give it to Lucky, though. He's kept that probe count high, still sitting on 75. But the Corruptors, I mean, they've kind of lost their place right now. There's a necessity of them, but the amount of Phoenix that are out don't really threaten the Mutas just yet.
Yeah. The thing is that JimRising can transition into other units. I mean, Muta Corruptor can be the end-all be-all of a game sometimes, but if you start getting Infestors out...
Distractions towards the main. The entire army's out of position for this. If he focuses down the Nexus, it'll be another snipe. And this one's low, but he's... it's just kind of an A move while he controls the Corruptors and Mutas. I mean, that's not a bad choice. It makes sense. You want to keep these bad boys alive, but I think killing another base would have been fantastic. He's going to get this low once again, but there's just too much to defend.
Yeah. But if he ever has to give away his Mutas, Corruptor, Fungal, upgraded Lings can do really well, as long as you can take down the Colossus in due time with those Corruptors. So they're not going to be useless as this game goes on. And we do have Patching Glands on the way, so maybe he will be looking to change this into something else.
There was that discussion earlier on Remax about the whole new unit stuff, and the Viper's getting the anti-air ability. But the one thing I've not heard anyone talk about is, like, is that going to affect Colossus?
What was the anti-air ability again?
It's like this kind of irradiate, basically, but if it kills the unit, it stays in place.
Right. Yeah. Huh, that's a good question. We'll see in a week, man!
It's out of the way! Signs of beta! They announced the beta, it's signs of beta!
I'm actually super excited. I mean, I got a lot of things, like, I want to do. I just want to talk about it all the time. I'm really disappointed if no one plays out of the first week and be like, damn it.
Well, I'm really excited too because there's a lot of content creators who are jumping on that right away, whether it's us or not, so we can get to see things at least. But the Phoenix do swamp in once again. 31 Mutas. Like, where is Jim getting the money for this? Like, I get that he's on 6-7 bases, but wow, just the context of having this many Mutalisks in play is unheard of. You just don't have it. You don't have the gas for this. You don't have the money for this. But this whole game he's been playing strong. We finally have Lucky taking a 5th, a lot behind Jim, but not so dire as he has had the better resources lost trading throughout the course of the game.
Yeah. I still have the regular UI on because I was doing video work, but checking 86 drones is how he gets all the money. That's pretty damn high.
Corruptors are going to run away from the Stalkers combined with the Archons. I mean, Archons are kind of the best. I was really hoping to see Storms. We still don't even have that tech completed, even if you want to transition into it, but...
Oh, Colossus, no!
Well, my follow-up point was just going to be, like, Storms have been so good versus the Lings that he's seen lots of this so far this game. They were doing so good at chasing down the Corruptors or catching Muta Balls. I just... don't love that we haven't seen them yet. But he's been dealing with the air without them, so it's not an over-criticism. I just... throwing that out there. I think, who's it, was it Destiny we watched versus Kaifire? Where there was, like, those 19 Storms that killed all the Corruptors? Yeah,
Storms are definitely helpful towards the end, but you do have to consider that if they're going to continue on with Mutas, keeping the High Templars alive are, like, really quite hard. They drag behind your army in a pretty big way. You can't leave them in the bases because they're going to be immediately sniped.
Well, I'm starting loving the amount of cannons Lucky's investing into. This is definitely that Terran mentality of, I'm done with Mutas. I'm so done with Mutas.
But JimRising still isn't. He's remaking 21.
Here's the thing that kills me, right? We look at the Mutas this game, and I really think, okay, they're great for distraction. They've done that job, and they've done a bit of harass on the side, too. but it's the links that have gotten him the most actual damage this game, and I would love to see him reinvest in some of those. Get Adrenal Glands, get 3-3, get an Ultralisk Cavern. I mean, really, just not pure Muta, because the Phoenix counter them so hard.
Here's another thing that I would really like to see from Lucky. You know, he's playing a game pretty okay, the Muta versus Phoenix game pretty okay, but he hasn't had any chance to use his own harassment. You know, a Dark Shrine could go a long way in making sure that Lucky never got, or JimRising never got to these extra 3 bases, especially the ones off kind of secrets.
I mean, if not Zealot run-bys, Dark Templar would do hell of a lot of damage. He does clear the probes at this base. Looks like he's going to kill another Nexus as the Phoenix can't engage. We got the Corruptors out here just kind of guarding, I guess you could say. Yeah. Insert football term here. I know real sports.
Can't quite give away the Corruptors again. They can be very important. Yes, you do. Good job. But, you know, when you face a Muta player, you got to figure, especially on a map as big as Deadwing, that you have them expanding to almost all the locations. I'm actually kind of surprised that when JimRising had that, you know, 4,000 bank, he just did not just plant down all the hatcheries that he could. But still, like, any secret hatcheries in the corners would be a very highly likely chance, you know?
Yeah. Yo, I'm surprised just how devoted Lucky's been to his air this game, by the way. Not in the sense that he's been making a lot of Phoenix, but look at those upgrades. He chose Plasma Shields over regular armor upgrades very intentionally, because he doesn't care about these Stalkers or the Colossus. It's all about the Phoenix, the Void Rays, the possible Tempests.
Yeah, didn't he make maybe he canceled them and they never popped out. I know I saw some of the production tab.
Well, looking back at the units lost, 111. What? 111 Mutalisks. 1/4 of the resources lost for JimRising have been Mutalisks this game.
But see, isn't it like the Colossus can do a better job clearing up those Spine Crawlers than the Stalkers can? Oh, that Archon shot was good.
I can't fathom the fact that he's still investing in them at this point. Like, he obviously can't see that number the way we can, but 116 Mutas and 58 Corruptors for 36 Phoenix. That doesn't add up, no matter who cooks your books.
Yeah, and I think until this moment, JimRising was feeling really good about this game. He's still been in control, he's been able to deny a 4th or 5th, but now that he hasn't a bank anymore, and we're starting to see Lucky go out and search for these other bases, I would be quite worried.
I mean, Jim's best bet at this point might actually be a base trade, just due to the way that the army is structured, but I don't know, man. I think that if this continues playing it the same way it has been, I think Lucky wins this game. Slowly, but eventually.
Yeah, I agree. It is ending into that, you know, inevitable base trade, and the Spine Crawlers are helping a lot, just clearing out any amount of Stalkers. One that's missmicroed is going to help a lot when the actual engagement comes down.
I can't believe this wall of spines held up as well as it did. Look at this, the second they stop attacking it, they start shredding everything!
Oh, God.
You know, these guys are touching butts, I'm just saying. Like, hey, pokey poke.
Another big problem right now is that a War Prism is out in play, so there's not going to be any reinforcements.
Oh, he's going to lose everything here, though. This Core might try and go for the recall, but it'll be too late. Gets sniped immediately. So Lucky is actually going to lose 100% of his army. JimRising finally gets a bit of a break in this game, but, you know, at what cost? He lost so many spines, he lost a base, he lost some drones. I mean, he's left with an army himself, but it's not even that great.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that Lucky should not have pushed into that without reinforcements backing him up. The Spine Coast ended up taking a lot of Stalkers down. They weren't being blinked back. Blinked back, and as such, that was a big army that went down. Plus, all of the Archons over the last 4 minutes, I guess, were sniped off, either by the Spine Crawlers or maybe some links came out we didn't know. And that is absolutely, like, you have to have that in a base trade, like 3 or 4.
Well, it's funny. Jim's been the one with all the bases around the map, and I mean, Lucky's had that control. I kind of almost wish we would have seen him expand, but I understand the fear of those mutas. I mean, this whole game, it's been really hard to get any breathing room. But throwing down a ton of cannons has gone a long way, I gotta say. Graviton beams up Lings, because, you know, why not? I think it's the first Graviton beam we've seen all game, weirdly enough. But never would I ever suspect that in a best of one, this is where the game goes, and I'm really excited now for the prospect of what else comes today. Although, of course, saying this now, we're just going to get, you know, 2 racks into proxy gates. But that being said, I mean, these guys have been played out fantastic, to the point where I almost want to invite them back for their own show match somewhere down the line. Yeah, it has been really good, and it really is too bad it's the best of one. Yeah. But it does look like Lucky is going to lose it. He lost his big death ball, and it's a kind of a small death ball right now, but it is small. This is like a death ping pong.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I just for Jim's sake, is he still not on Hive Tech, by the way? Okay, so he is on Hive Tech. I guess, yeah, Adrenal Gland's coming. He doesn't really have the money for 3-3. I'm just thinking, like, what could he really do? It's not like he can afford to go Broodlords.
JimRising?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the case. I actually I might like this choice to go back into Roaches. What's so funny is that he never got Roach speed. Didn't bother.
Or any upgrades, really.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how it actually works out. There's going to be so many of them, because he did put the rest of the bank in like 30+ Roaches, I believe. That's...
you know, though, I think the problem is, regardless of how many Roaches he goes, I think there are enough Phoenix to Graviton beam them to kill them.
That's what I'm wondering. He can definitely micro against the Archons well enough, because there's only 4 of them, well, almost 5 now. But will the Phoenixes be the game changer yet again here? I don't know. We'll see what 33 Roaches can do. He has cleaned up most of the counter attacks, or the sneak attacks.
Yeah, I mean it's been weirdly executed, but it has been fairly action-packed this whole way too. So there's not been a lot of passive play behind this. But the Roaches without speed, man, they just, oh my god, they waddle. They're like penguins.
Oh, it's so close to being done. He needs some micro, just the tiniest amounts possible against the Archons.
There's those Graviton beams. They just hold everything in place.
Okay, that's how that goes then.
It doesn't corrupt her setting south to, I guess, defend whatever the threat was, but it's gone now. And Jim's out of money pretty much, and not just money, but more importantly, gas. Upgrades almost might be worth canceling in favor of units at this point. I don't know. I mean, the base up here gets remade. He's still got the extractors. Maybe he can get some economy going, but Lucky has just played this out quite well.
I kind of enjoy the attempts at going back into the more basic units, trying to deal with death balls. Like, for instance, against Mech, maybe Roach Hydra will be the one that does it against battlecruisers. It could happen. But I think in that situation, it would have been better for those Lings.
I never realized just how well saturated Jim's bottom right corner of the map has been. No wonder he's been able to stick in it after all these horrible engagements. I mean, his economy looks fine still behind this. I mean, 61 drones, not bad. 3 bases, essentially.
10 more. The upgrades are going to finish, and you know, Lucky isn't feeling confident enough to push out, and for good reason too. He's still super worried about losing his only mining base basically at this point, although this one is surprisingly maybe gonna get up.
On top, yeah, maybe. Both of them for maybes, really. We did the Ling run by. Again, I feel these have single-handedly done more damage than anything else in this game, and I'm really glad to see them starting to get used again, but the distraction in the bottom catches a couple of Archons, but I mean, that bonus damage versus biological, it's just, oh, it's stomping the Roaches.
Yeah. And despite the supply being so big, it doesn't, I guess the Corruptors are really making it look silly. Plus, Roaches just overinflate supply anyways. Yeah. By giving away those Roaches, I think you just cued Lucky that he may be able to push into your own bases too.
Maybe.
Oh, no, he's still scared.
There are a lot of spines and some stag defense, and he really doesn't know what's waiting for him at the top of the hill. Hallucinations would be great to have, but of course there's no sentries. Scouting's fairly limited. No observers still, either.
Yeah, we talked about Fungal so long ago, because he did get Pathogen Glands, and he never got them again. Never actually got them.
He never actually got infestors, yeah. You know, I guess it's the lack of gas, though, right? When you've invested into, oh my god, 140 mutilations!
Right, but that was when he still had an okay bank, you know, and
I'm just thinking, okay, let's, like, take the gas from even half that, 70 Mutalisks worth of gas. Make that all infestors, and just drop infested Terrans!
That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, not the Mutas maybe, but the Roaches. He remade about, what, 60, 70 Roaches at this point? Like 30 at a time to keep on dying to the Archons? Yeah. Imagine if all of those were infestors. I mean, that army right now is... Well, I guess he just warped in a couple of Stalkers, but still, it was a lot of Zealots and a lot of Archons. Like, they would have died to Fungals.
Yeah, I concur. Well, I guess, to remind you guys what everyone's playing for today, in this very long best of one that I never would have dreamed the first match we picked would have gone like this, there's a $100 prize for first place, $50 for second place in today, and $25 for both of our Aiur chefs playing, regardless of whether they place third or fourth. So everything in these best of one shotgun brackets, it's just for the chance to play in that best of 7. So you're basically guaranteed $50 no matter what for winning today. But you can get a total of $100 if you actually beat whoever you select in the best of 7. And what's really unique about the format is you really get to pick your match. Like, let's say Lucky continues through the bracket, and his best match is PVZ, then he can pick Kane. And his worst match is Xenocider, he doesn't have to worry about playing him at all.
Oh! How did that kill that Stalker? What is that Stalker doing on the edge of the debris?
It's stuck. Nope, never mind, psych. I'm glad we finally got to see some storms, by the way. A little bit late for my flavor, but hey, they got some damage done.
Well, it seems like it's actually come back to JimRising's favor.
Maybe a little bit, just because of that extended economy. But you know what? Again, no observers, but also no overseers. Dark Templar, burrowed infestors. I mean, guys, please take advantage of your opponent's weakness. Just stop playing your race. Play your opponent instead.
Yeah, they have seemed to gotten really
it's stalemate-y, but it's not like it's been bad. I mean, there's still the attempts to counter. Jim's finally got +3 weapons on the roaches, speed and all that, but it just doesn't feel like they're playing what's on the field. They're just playing what they think is good, you know?
Yeah, they're really like, you know, single-minded on these units that they're making, as opposed to getting a really good, diverse composition. We have the roaches once again buying time as the Archons are looking to go up into that, whatever you want to call that base. It would have been the natural JimRising had spawned in the bottom right.
What kind of boggles my mind here too is just Jim has like pretty much never really won an army fight this game from start to finish, but he's been winning the income wars the entire game without question. Eventually he will mine out. Eventually there won't be bases for him to take.
It's too bad that no Dark Templars have gone into this game. I mean, you could argue that they would have gotten damage initially, but as it's been a 45-minute long game, that initially would have turned into simply replanting the hatchery again, and this time with overseers, and that is possible, but it would have made JimRising make more choices and maybe trip them up a little bit. I mean, StarCraft 2 is often about a game about making your opponent make mistakes as opposed to you playing perfectly.
Okay, so you know how he didn't start making roaches until about 5 minutes ago? Like, no roaches at the course of the game.
Yeah.
In the last 5 minutes, he's lost more roaches than he has mutas. 155 have died.
They've all been suicided past the Archons, trying to buy more time. But the thing is, I thought he was buying time to something, and then I remembered that he's not. He just keeps remaking roaches.
No, I would actually disagree. He is. He's buying time until his opponent runs out of money. It sounds silly to say it like that. I get it. But look at the supply counts for a moment. There is no remaxing for Lucky at this point.
All right, that's true.
If Jim identifies this, then he'll know he can't afford Tempest, and then if he goes Broodlords, maybe this game comes to a close.
Maybe.
I mean, he has just... The war of attrition is a very real thing in StarCraft 2. It doesn't normally come down like this, but it's still happening.
Yeah, it is too bad that Lucky has not been able to get the better supply, as it then would have been, you know, if he was at 150 even, I would say, okay, but his army is still better, so we're going to have an old-fashioned base race where it's, you know, it's literally like Zerg has to kill the last building, Protoss has to win the war, somehow, like, force a battle.
Dirty JimRising. He's finally decided to play cost-effective 47 minutes into the game.
Oh, God. You know, there's a little bit of hope, you know, for Lucky at a point, but I'd say for about 38 minutes out of the 46 of this game, it has been in JimRising's favor.
I would agree. That's a pretty good way to phrase it.
It's pretty accurate.
I mean, Lucky, he did a lot of really good things in this whole game. It's without question that he's been taking good fights. But Jim's really shown us what happens if you win a fight and do nothing to capitalize on it. If you tear down all those mutas and don't push without killing below. And Jim has just been constantly popping up again and again and again all over the map. Cute burrow tactics by in the main. We're dodging a lot of those Phoenix. Looks like the probes are going to get picked off. I mean, again, this comes down to the fact that Lucky can't really make anything. He's got no cash, no moolah, no dinero.
Stupid pylon. Oh, he saved it. Okay.
For now, psych.
JK.
And he saves the roach. Ah!
Okay, so what do you just gotta give up your base? You know, like you don't have enough army to spread around.
Yo, I forgot, because we've been so busy casting Korean events and European events. I always forget how fun it is to cast some North American players sometimes. Not because they're good or bad or worse than anyone else, but just because the game's always a lot more scrappy. Even if it goes down 50 minutes, this has probably been the scrappiest game of StarCraft 2 I've seen in the last couple of weeks. I love it. Yeah.
When we were doing our qualifiers for whatever tournament a while ago, wait, NA ones. Oh, it was. You're right. I was actually having a lot more fun with the NA qualifiers than anything else.
Well, we did get incredibly plastered for one of them, so.
Haha, that's right.
Haha, bad times, bad times. Roach in the main still just going ham on what it can.
You know, I'm really like
gonna
get serious though.
It's whack-a-mole.
You're gonna have to just give up your main. Your Phoenixes eventually won't be able to take
Yeah.
down Roaches, Hydras, and the Mutas are gonna be over there.
Well, I'm looking at Jim's bank, I'm looking at his supply, and for a small time this game, I really thought Lucky had this in the bag. But the Swarm Hosts are really starting to pay for themselves at this point. Not exactly tearing down the Nexus just yet, but I think the Mutas might be able to finish that off. Either way, his opponent's down to 19 workers. Even if he has this base, there's no income compared. It's 340 minerals to 2,000. You just can't compare that.
Oh, we did even finally get DTs, and in fact, there's absolutely no detection. Overseer, you're right there.
Yo, you know what? You know what? Someone in chat points this out. I can't believe we didn't recognize it. JimRising is employing the Zap Brannigan strategy of just throwing his men at the kill bots until they reach their kill limit.
And it has been reached. GG.